no right to take her from me. I cry 7 days a week. 7! This is what's left of my daughter. If I want a hug, I have to hug a box and close my eyes and pretend that she is hugging me back. Do you remember texting me? I would never do anything to hurt her. I swear on my life. Do you remember that? Do you? I hate you. I want to rip you limb from limb and discard you like trash, like what you did to Ashley.
Take him to prison, please.
This is Chris Watts, who's facing multiple charges, including murder and unlawful termination of a pregnancy in Colorado for the murders of his pregnant wife, Shannon, 2 daughters, Bella and Celeste, and his unborn baby, Nico. On August 13th, 2018, Nicole, a friend of Shannon, reported her missing and called the police.
My name's Nicole, and I'm calling because I'm concerned about a friend of mine. I dropped her off at her house at 2 in the morning last night because we were out of town together, and we were on the way back from the airport, and issues, and she's pregnant. And I haven't been able to get a hold of her this morning, and I've gone to her house, and her car's there, and stuff like that, but she won't answer the door, she won't answer phone calls, she won't answer text messages, and I'm just really, really concerned, and she had a doctor's appointment this morning, and she didn't go to it, and I don't know what to do. I've called him and talked to him, and he said that she went on a play date with her other 2 daughters, but, like, if she went on a play date, they're both in car seats. Why would she not take her car? Perfectly understandable. Do you happen to know her address, Nicole? I'm at the San Antonio house. It's 2825 Saratoga Trail.
Shortly after, the police arrived.
Nicole?
Yes.
Okay. What's going on?
So, my friend, we were out of town for a business trip this weekend.
Right.
And I dropped her off at 2 o'clock this morning. She's 15 weeks pregnant. She wasn't feeling well. And she had a doctor's appointment this morning at 9. And I told her to let me know if she needed me to take her. She's got 2 little girls. I've called. I've texted. Her car's in the garage. Her shoes she wears every single day are by the front door.
However, no one was at home, so they called Shannon's husband, Chris.
How you doing? You seen your neighbors today? No? Okay. What's Chris's phone number?
Chris's phone number is...
Hey, Chris, Officer Coonrod for the police department. Pretty good. So, do you have any idea where your wife is? Right. Well, my concern is her car's here. They're saying she is diabetic. I don't want her... If she's upstairs and can't respond. Okay. About how far out are you? Okay. All right. He said like 5 minutes.
After a few minutes, Chris arrived and let the officers in.
Scott, how you doing? How's it going? So this is the only vehicle she would have?
Only one that,
She would drive?
Now, in Shannon's house, the police began looking for clues on where she and the kids might be.
all the girls' blankies are gone. Their blankets they sleep with, they don't leave anywhere without them.
Good.
They found Shannon's ring and belongings, but Shannon and the children were nowhere to be found. Through all these, Chris remained uninterested.
What time do you leave the day?
What time I leave there? Come
No, here.
Usually between 5:30 and 6.
Right. And was Shannon here then?
Yes. Yeah, she was going back.
Does she usually watch the kids, or do you have daycare watch them? Or?
She usually watches the kids at the high school.
You guys have any kind of issues, marital issues, or?
We're going through separation.
You are? And how's that going?
It's going
Civil for the most
civil.
part, or?
But a neighbor who had joined in on the search knew that something was wrong.
No. Right.
To be completely honest with you, my wife and I were kind of wondering when she was on vacation if something happened, because I've heard them full out screaming at each other at the top of their lungs, and he gets crazy.
Does he? And that's pretty recently?
Yeah. He doesn't look worried. He looks like he's trying to cover his tracks. He's normally quiet, real subdued. He's over here telling you 3 times what he took out, what he did. He's very, he never talks. So the fact that he's over here blabbing his mouth makes me kind of suspicious.
The FBI and Colorado Bureau of Investigation joined the search, And Chris even granted interviews to multiple TV stations, pleading for his wife to return.
When I got home yesterday, it was like a ghost town. Like, she wasn't here. Kids weren't here. I have no idea like where they went. And right now it's got K9 units, the sheriff's department. Everybody's like they're doing their best right now to figure out like if they can get a scent. If she wasn't here, like where did she go? Like once I got here, it was like, all right, who can I call? I called her 3 times, texted her about 3 times just to say, you know, what's going on? Like if she's vanished, like I want her back so bad. I want those kids back so bad.
On August 15th, 2018, Chris was arrested and brought in for questioning.
Nothing in your pockets? Mm-hmm. Okay, go ahead and face that other wall behind you. I'm just going to search you real quick. Spread your legs. Further. Okay, turn around and face me. No earrings, necklaces, anything like that? Okay. Let's walk out this way.
He maintained he was innocent and agreed to take a polygraph test.
Can we talk about something that's kind of hard to talk about? So when I work investigations like this, I have to keep an open mind on everything. Okay. And part of keeping an open mind is listening to you talk about your wife and your marriage. And the day she goes missing is the day that you guys have marital discord. Okay. So you can understand what I'm thinking about you.
Yeah.
What do you think about that?
Makes me sick to my stomach, honestly. Like, I know, like, I've talked to a few of my friends, it's like, you know, this does not look good on you. I'm like, I know. It's like, if people knew that we were having marital issues, they're going to look at me, especially with the way everything looks. And it honestly just makes me sick to my stomach because this is something that I would never do. Ever.
Unfortunately, he failed the polygraph test.
Regarding Shanann's disappearance, do you intend to answer all of the questions truthfully?
Yes.
Is your first name Christopher?
Yes.
Before 2018, did you ever lose your temper with someone you cared about?
No.
Did you physically cause Shanann's disappearance?
No.
So, it was completely clear that you were not honest during the testing, and I think you already know that. You did not pass the polygraph test.
Okay.
Okay. So now we need to talk about what actually happened. And I feel like you're probably ready to do that.
I didn't lie to you on that polygraph, I promise.
Chris, I know.
Stop.
It's time. Just stop for a minute. Take a deep breath.
Knowing that his lie could not hold up anymore, Chris tells the detectives the truth.
Lost it in a choker or...
That's just rage. I'm bad. My babies are gone. And I put my hands around my wife's neck and did that same thing.
Did Shanann fight back at all when you did that?
The rage that I had after seeing that, not much.
Now in court, Chris sits emotionless as family members tell him how they feel about him. First was Shannon's emotional father.
And Nico, loving, caring people. They love life. They love being around people who love them. They always had good times. This is the first time they went to the beach this year, and they loved it. But God only knows what happened that night. Life will never be the same without Shannon, Bella, and Celeste and Nico. Had all their lives to live. They were taken by a heartless one. This is the heartless one, the evil monster, who dare you take the lives of my daughter Shannon, Bella, Celeste, and Nico. I trusted you to take care of them, not kill them.
Then her brother.
In the blink of an eye, you took away my whole world, the people that mattered to me the most. Everything in my life I loved, your children. They trusted you. They loved you. They looked up to you because you promised to keep them safe. Instead, you turned on your family. My blood is boiling as I write these last words because they are the last you will ever hear from me. I can't even think of the right words to describe the betrayal and the hate I feel. And to be honest, you aren't even worth the time and effort it takes to put my pen to this paper.
And Shannon's mother.
Your daughter Bella Marie sang a song proudly. I don't know if you got to see it, but it was Daddy, You're My Hero. I have no idea who gave you the right to take their lives, but I know God and his mighty angels were there at that moment to bring them home to paradise.
Next, Chris's family addressed the court.
We don't think that there's anything that he can say that will ever account for his behavior. There's nothing that can be done to cure the harm he has caused, and he has the responsibility to serve his sentence with dignity and with regard for everyone, and to spend every breath that he has left in an atonement for what he has done.
By the time they were done, Chris was in tears.
Is there any statements you would like to make on behalf of the prosecution?
Yes, please.
Now, it's teary Chris's turn to speak.
Mr. Watts has asked us to share this morning that he is devastated by all of this. And although he understands that words are hollow at this point, he is sincerely sorry for all of this. Thank you.
Thank you. We began. You have the right to make a statement if you choose to. Would you like to make a statement?
Chris had only one response.
No, sir.
But before he could learn his sentence, the judge had a few words for him.
Here, the evidence in this case are a senseless crime and the viciousness of the crime. And equally aggravating in this court's determination is the despicable act of disposing of the bodies in the manner in which they were done in this case. I've been a judicial officer now for starting my 17th year, and I could objectively say that this is perhaps the most inhumane and vicious crime that I have handled out of the thousands of cases that I have seen.
Finally, it was time for Chris to learn his fate.
With regard to count number 1, murder in the first degree as it relates to Shanann Watts, the court is going to sentence you, sir, to a life sentence in the Colorado Department of Corrections, followed with no possibility of parole.
Chris is now serving his sentence in a maximum security prison in Wisconsin. Just when you thought you'd seen it all, another convict surpasses Chris Watts' strange courtroom display. Enter Jared Chance, who has a history of crime and is facing charges for multiple crimes, including the murder of Ashley in Michigan. On November 28, 2018, Ashley went to help her friend Jared, but somehow she disappeared. Her worried mother contacted the police, and not long after, a neighbor, Marie Nelson, called the police about a discovery.
Once I come back up to the stairs, there's a tarp laying there, and it's like just a stream of blood out of it. What do you do when you see a tarp with a stream of blood? Run upstairs, I have my girlfriend call the cops.
The police discovered the mutilated body of Ashley.
We're gonna go out, wrap into that basement. We're going down to that basement. That's where the body's at, wrapped in the tarp.
Okay, the tarp is laying on the stairs, about the last 3 stairs.
Right up to police department. Anybody in the section, come on, make yourself known. Come up to the stairwell right now. Right there. Put your hands up, hands up.
Following the discovery, Jared was arrested.
Come on down. Hands on top of your head. We're gonna call him right into that kitchen.
Now in custody, he denied any wrongdoing.
Because I don't really know what the hell's going on, so I don't want to sit here and talk about shit that may incriminate me or whatever in any kind of way, because I don't know what's going on. So I just don't want to say nothing right now.
Eventually, evidence linked him to the crime, and he was charged in court. Now, in court, Ashley's family members gave him a piece of their mind from the brother.
I shared a room with her since I was 3 years old, until she moved out. I don't understand how anyone could do what you have done. No man can do that, I'm sorry. I don't understand it whatsoever. And then you can sit in your house and be there knowing what you have done and not do anything about it.
To the mother.
This is what's left of my daughter. If I want a hug, I have to hug a box and close my eyes and pretend that she is hugging me back. Because you chose to murder her. Because you chose to dismember her. You texted me, Ashley and I are both good people. This is why we get along and like each other. Do you remember texting me that? Do you remember texting me? I would never, never do anything to hurt her. I swear on my life. Ashley is my ride and die. Do you remember that? Do you? Ashley was already dead and dismembered when you text that to me. You threw her out like trash, and she was your friend. Why? Why would you do this? What did she do to you that was so terrible that you chose? You chose!
Now, Jared Chance finds out if he would be given another chance.
This was an extremely disturbing set of facts and circumstances where you killed and dismembered this young lady, Ashley Young. Only her torso was found in the basement. The police, although they did an excellent job in this matter, working every possible lead, could never find Ashley's head, her hands, or her feet. You, sir, in my mind, are a very evil individual. You are clearly a monster without any conscience whatsoever, and you are someone who is a danger to society and should never be allowed free. Accordingly, it is the sentence of this court with regards to the second-degree murder that you be committed to the Michigan Department of Corrections to serve a minimum of 100 years to a maximum of 200 years. I am purposely doing this so that you will not be eligible for parole until you are at least 130 years old.
This is how Ashley's family reacted to the sentence.
We're going to take a break for 5 minutes to clear out, and then we'll start the other.
Jared is now serving his sentence in prison. While Jared Chance's behavior raised eyebrows, it's nothing compared to the explosive actions of Christopher McNabb during his trial. Christopher was in court for the murder of 2-week-old Kalia in Atlanta, Georgia. In 2017, baby Kalia disappeared from the crib when her mother, Courtney, and Chris were sleeping.
My 2-week-old is not in her sleeper. Her pack is on the floor. She's not in her sleeper. She's not here. I've looked everywhere.
The parents were devastated when they woke up and couldn't find their daughter. The mother quickly called authorities.
Then I told my baby's dad to go check on Kalia, and then he's talking about she's not here. She's not in here.
You looked through everything, like under the bed,
yes,
in the
ma'am.
bathroom?
Yes, ma'am. And I have clothes and totes, but I've looked all in them, and she's not here.
The police quickly went into action, with Chris pleading for the return of his stepdaughter on TV.
But I want my kid back, man. That's my child, man. I want my kid, man.
After a few days of intense search, the police found baby Kalia near the parents' trailer. But she was already dead and wrapped in Chris's clothes. Immediately after the police discovered the baby, Chris fled the state. Eventually, he was apprehended.
911, was that just a severe emergency? That guy that his baby was found dead is in the Chevron on 36.
Now in court, the parents were made to listen to the severity of their crime.
Put over the head and partially over the neck.
Can you tell me what's depicted in that photo?
Again, all of these photos are just step by step showing how the body was received and these wrappings of how the body was received. Again, this shows that one of the sleeves was over the head and neck. The rest of it was just kind of wrapped around, and the baby was wearing this purple onesie that had writing on it.
While the crimes committed by Chris were abhorrent, his courtroom conduct will leave you speechless. A psychologist testified to the true state of Chris's mind.
He was wearing a turtle suit, which is something that prisoners are wearing when they're on suicide risk. He wasn't wearing clothing under that, and he had pulled up the turtle suit and taken out and was masturbating.
And did he masturbate to completion in your presence?
He did.
However, Chris disagreed with her assessment.
That I did have on a turtle suit, and it velcros, and it wasn't on properly, and it didn't fit properly, and the velcros were not on good because they don't stick, because they've been used for so many years. by so many different people, and I was not masturbating at all in front of her, period. The thing fell off when I stood up, and that was it. There was none of that, and I would have liked to have told her that, since she was the one making the accusation, since I'm pretty sure by the law states that I have a right to confront my witnesses who accuse me of doing wrong. So I felt like I wanted to say it in front of her, since she was the one up here slandering me. And that's all I got to say.
You sure you don't want to talk about the sentencing and all of that? That was the only thing you wanted to tell the court?
I mean, I haven't heard anything about a sentence. I was just commenting on that. I understand
the charges. And I just wanted to know if you had anything you wanted to say to the court.
I mean, I got a lot to say. I got a lot to say, but I'm not going to be able to say half of it.
I don't know, because I don't know what you're going to say.
I'm innocent. I didn't do it.
Okay.
I've maintained that the whole time. I feel like there was things that were allowed to be said that should have never been allowed to be said, that didn't have nothing whatsoever to do with the case and what was being said. Just because somebody has domestic abuse issues with their spouse doesn't mean that they would put their hands on their kids, which has also been pretty much proved that I've never touched my kids in any harmful manner whatsoever. I've never harmed my kids.
But Judge Ott has a trick question for Chris.
I can make a lot of comments on what you said. I can make a lot of comments on the trial, but I know that was just be arguing with you or talking with you. I'll ask you one simple question. You claim you're innocent, so you tell me what sentence the man or woman that you claim did this should receive.
If you ever find out who did them, they deserve to be under the jail.
Okay. So they ought to get the maximum sentence.
Most definitely.
Okay.
Now, Judge Ott provides a classical reply to this trick question.
On the crime of malice murder, I sentence you to life in confinement without parole. On concealing the death of another, I sentence you to 10 years in confinement, consecutive or after. Count one. Do you understand each of your sentences?
Yes, sir.
Like Chris, Courtney insisted on her innocence.
Y'all know I didn't do this.
Well, you and I had a conversation back in Chambers on Wednesday, remember, morning? And at the time I told you there's a difference between the reality of the situation and what you think. I explained to you exactly why you were being charged with the crime. It wasn't that you knew about the murder, it wasn't that you anticipated the murder, it wasn't that you planned the murder, any of those things. It was simply that you created an environment that caused your children to be put second and Mr. McNabb to be put first. As the state said in their closing, and they used the example of a rattlesnake being thrown into a room and the child being put into there. Well, your whole claim is I took him back because I wanted to have a family. In that analogy the state used, it's just kind of like saying your child's dead from a rattlesnake bite. Why would you put it in there? And you responded, well, I just wanted her to enjoy nature, have an appreciation of the outdoors without appreciating the danger. Now, I'm sorry, but for you to go around chasing McNabb, doing meth, flies in the face of what any normal mother would do. We hear stories out in society, out everywhere. The mother bear, they're so ferocious. Why? Because you're messing with their child. All those kind of things. And you chose methamphetamine and McNabb over a baby.
It's a sickness, but I tried to be a good mama. I love my babies.
The problem, Miss McNabb, is that like most criminals, you have this version of what a good mama is that is so far from the norm that, you can go anywhere in this county, talk to anybody who's watching this and say, is it a good mama who doesn't even care about her 14-year-old baby? Put them with a cousin. I've known of instances where mamas won't even let in the first couple of weeks of a child's life people around the child for fear that the child's immune system hadn't been built up and they don't want germs brought into the child. They go to that extent. You went just the exact opposite direction, and there's just no excuse for that. On count, let's talk about this. Count 2 merges with count 1.
But that didn't save her from her fate.
Okay. On count 1, I'm going to sentence you with 30 years, with the first 15 years to be served in confinement in the state penitentiary, the remaining time on probation. On count 3, I'm going to sentence you to 10 years in confinement and run at the same time as count 1. Now, do you understand your two sentences?
Both Chris and Courtney are serving their sentences in prison. However, while Chris and Courtney's behavior was shocking, it's nothing compared to the utter mayhem caused by Matthew Ponomarenko in court. Matthew was in court for the murder of his son, 5-year-old Jax Ponomarenko, in Parma, Ohio. On March 25th, 2021, Matthew called the police with a heartbreaking news.
What's the problem? Tell me exactly what happened.
I just killed my son.
What do you mean you just killed your son?
I'm hearing voices.
Okay. How old's your son?
6.
Where's your son now?
He's dead.
Dead where?
In the living room.
When the police arrived, they confirmed Matthew's story and arrested him. In court, Matthew agreed on a guilty plea with the prosecutors.
This is a 4-count indictment. We have had full discussions and disclosure, and all evidence that the state of Ohio intended on using in this case has been transferred to the defense. It is my understanding that today this defendant is prepared to withdraw his not guilty plea and enter a plea of guilt as outlined. The state is going to respectfully request that this court, with regards to count 1, delete the victim under 13 murder specification.
While the crimes committed by Matthew were abhorrent, his courtroom conduct will leave you speechless. During the proceedings, the victim's aunt was called to deliver a statement.
The second speaker is Jamie Lopez, the aunt of Jax Pomeranko.
But before she could approach the bench, Matthew started acting up.
I'm sitting! All right, we're going to take a break. Deputy, take him into the holding cell, please.
After the break, Matthew, who suffers from bipolar disorder, apologized for his behavior.
I'd like to say I'm sorry.
Now the aunt finally addresses the court.
Autism is a journey full of joys, challenges, and a roller coaster of emotions. It has always made me sad that our boys were not able to attend school with their siblings. So having Jax and his cousin being together at their autism academy meant everything to me. They had each other. Dear Jax, I will never forget the first time that I held you after you were born, and I thank you for making me an aunt.
It's time for Matthew to find out his sentence.
So the court now will formally pass a sentence in count 1, life imprisonment with parole eligibility after serving 30 years, full years of imprisonment. Count 2, an indefinite prison term with a minimum prison term of 8 years. Count 3, an indefinite prison term with a minimum prison term of 7 years.
Matthew is still serving his sentence in prison. However, it's not the first time a convict has lost control in court. Just like what happened in the notorious case of Eric Pendland, who's facing charges of child endangerment in Ohio. On March 1st, 2017, Eric, who was supposed to babysit his 3-month-old baby, shook the baby so much that the child went deaf and blind. Now, in court, a doctor explains the injuries the boy had.
He was gravely ill. He had bleeding on his brain, mainly on the left side of his brain. There was some blood between the two halves of his brain. There was likely a shaking type mechanism that caused his head to flail uncontrollably and violently back and forth, side to side. Banging of the jello inside that cup is analogous to the type of trauma that the brain experiences when it's being shaken back and forth. This type of injury in the brain, he will not fully recover from.
Baby Eric Jr. was adopted by caring mothers who were in court to tell Eric the effect of his actions.
Nothing prepared us for the screaming. Hours and hours of screaming. The rest of his life, Eric will rely on others to bathe him, dress him, change his diapers, feed him, administer his pain medications.
Even the prosecutor wasn't left out.
I would submit to the court that this entire record is absolutely devoid of any remorse by the defendant.
However, Eric insists that he's innocent of the charge.
I've been falsely accused. I've been wrongfully convicted.
Now he will find out his fate.
Find the defendant, Eric Pendland, guilty of endangering children.
Once he learned he won't be a free man, he lost his cool.
Man. I didn't do anything wrong, man.
Eric is still serving his sentence in prison. While some may attribute Eric's reaction to mental illness, it pales in comparison to the shocking behavior of Alex Murdaugh, who's facing 2 counts of murder and 2 counts of possession of a weapon while committing a violent crime in July 2022. On June 7th, 2021, Alex called the police after he discovered his wife, Maggie, and his son, Paul, dead near the dog kennels on their sprawling estate.
911, where's your emergency?
This is Alex Murdaugh at 4147 Moselle Road. I need the police to ambulance immediately. My wife and child got badly.
Following investigations, Alex was arrested for the murders. Now, in court, he insists he is innocent.
Again, I respect this court. that I'm innocent. I would never, under any circumstances, hurt my wife Maggie, and I would never, under any circumstances, hurt my son Pawpaw.
However, the evidence presented by the police officers proved that Alex was hiding the truth.
I touched them both. I tried to do it as limited as possible, but I tried to take their pulse on both of them.
Following the undeniable evidence, Alex gave up and admitted that he lied.
On June the 7th, I wasn't thinking clearly. I don't think I was capable of reason, and I lied about being down there. And I'm so sorry that I did.
Now it is time to find out the jury's verdict.
Have you reached a verdict?
Yes, sir, we have.
Is it unanimous?
Before he learns his fate, the judge has some words for him.
It's also particularly troubling, Mr. Murdaugh, because as a member of the legal community, and a well-known member of the legal community, you've practiced law before me, and we've seen each other at various occasions throughout the year. The decision of the state not to pursue the death penalty, and many have received the death penalty, probably for lesser conduct. What tangle, web, we weave, what did you mean by that?
Then when I lied, I continued to lie.
And the question is, when will it end?
Finally, Alex learns his sentence.
You can convince yourself about it, but obviously you have the inability to convince anyone else about that. I sentence you to the State Department of Corrections on each of the murder indictments in the murder of your wife, Maggie Murdaugh. I sentence you for the term of the rest of your natural life for the murder of Paul Murdaugh, whom you probably loved so much.
Alex is currently serving his sentence in prison. However shocking Alex Murdaugh's reaction to his sentence was, how does it compare to the behavior of 73-year-old Philip Snyder, who's facing charges of murder in Ohio? Philip has reported that his wife of 53 years, Roberta Snyder, passed away on a trip to Graceland. However, his story was fishy, and family members asked the police to investigate.
You guys okay?
I'm okay, yes.
Okay.
My wife passed away. She choked on her phlegm. She'd been choking for about a year.
Okay.
And she wanted to go down one more time before she died. I think she knew she was gonna die.
So what happened? So where's your wife now? What happened to her?
They took her to a place where they cremate people.
Okay, and you don't know where that is either?
No.
Although his story was still fishy, and there was no record of anything he said, police had no evidence to charge him with any crime. Philip continued his life and went out on coffee dates with a young woman.
You enjoying this weather? What's your name?
Who?
I'm Missy.
Missy?
Yeah. Nice to meet you.
Yeah.
Unknown to Philip, the lady was an undercover cop. Over time, she gained Philip's trust, and he opened up on what really happened.
Right.
So they figured it out.
Yeah, but
since I lied to them, they spent all that time searching for her.
like you said, as long as they don't have the body, they can't tell what she died from.
What I did first was I said the paramedics in Memphis took her because she died on her way to Memphis.
Oh, okay.
The conversation was recorded, and Philip was arrested.
You're kidding.
Step up.
You're kidding.
Fun games are over.
In court, he took a plea deal.
To the charge of aggravated murder, how do you plead?
When asked for last statements, Philip shocked the court.
Is there anything that you would like to say prior to the sentencing?
That's what I put her.
All right, so you tell me you put your wife in the Tennessee River.
Yes, sir.
And you two are, both sides are asking me to accept in a plea today. Are you willing to take law enforcement to the area where you placed her in the Tennessee River?
If I have to, yes. Yes, sir.
In this particular case, I'm going to make sure that you do it. I mean, it's my understanding, and I haven't got to talk to the state yet, but one of the reasons that I feel like I'm making a deal with the devil here is that the family, I've been told, would like some closure.
However, his son let him know how he feels about him.
I don't hate my father. I don't want vengeance or revenge. All I want for myself and my family is closure. There are no winners in this courtroom today. There is no victory. There is only more damage to an already broken family. He is not the man who raised me, teaching me many things, of which one was to have honor and respect. I see no honor and certainly no respect in his actions leading up to the day.
The judge also has some choice words for him.
To me, to accept this agreement between the state and your counsel and you, it sickens me. This is one of the most ghastly crimes I've ever seen. You're going to die in prison. That's the legacy that you left this family. And the last comment that I will make to you, sir, is this, and I hope you think about this for the rest of your life. The hottest places in hell are reserved for people like you.
Finally, Philip learns his fate.
I'm going to sentence you to life imprisonment with parole eligibility after serving 20 years of imprisonment.
He is serving his sentence in jail. While Philip's behavior raised eyebrows, it's nothing compared to the disturbing actions of Carl Carlson, who's facing charges of multiple murders in New York. On November 20th, 2008, Carl's second wife called 911.
911, what's your emergency?
Yes, I live at 85 Yale Farm Road. I think I need an ambulance.
Okay, what's going on?
The truck fell on my stepson.
The truck fell on your stepson?
And we just got home, and I don't think he's alive.
Okay, he's pinned underneath the truck?
Yeah, my husband's lifting up the truck.
His chest is crushed?
Oh my God.
Carl had taken out a $700,000 life insurance on Levi just before his death. It turns out that Carl's first wife had died in mysterious circumstances too, after he had taken out a $200,000 life insurance on her. This led the police to start an investigation, and Carl was brought in for questioning.
Tell us about it. The day that my son died, her night, we had a funeral to go to. Left at 11:30, 11:45, somewhere like that. It was on the other side of Seneca Lake. Son was there. He helped me. We were working on the truck.
Initially, he was offended by the accusation.
But I didn't do it. You know, and I know people are going to think what they want. And it's like, there's no way.
That they brought you in today to finally talk to you was really over
my son, Diane Levi. But to sit here and say that I killed my son, there's no way. And I found him dead.
You went out there and the truck was rolled over on him.
Yeah. It never used to be this way. But since I've been on all the medicine, there's times that I drive in a car and I get lost. And I had freaking panic attacks. I opened the truck door because I had to get inside to move the linkage for the truck. And when I did, it tipped and it just fell over.
However, as the interrogation went on, he started opening up.
What are you going to do for me?
I'm going to stand up and say this wasn't premeditated, cold-blooded murder. That it was just something that happened. It happens sometimes, Carl. That's what I'll do for you.
It was an accident. I opened the truck door.
Okay.
When I did it, and if I had hit the box underneath it, it wouldn't have happened.
Carl, it was an accident. Why did you?
Eventually, Carl was charged to court, and he pled guilty to the murders.
Carl Carlson is a sociopath, pathetic human being, and he was a budding serial killer.
He was sentenced to life imprisonment without the possibility of parole. Carl Carlson wasn't the only person to murder his family members. There's also Rita Pangalangan, who's facing charges for the murder of Christina, her special needs teenage daughter, in South Carolina. On August 5th, 2019, Rita abandoned Christina in a car in the hot sun for about 5 hours while she went to visit her boyfriend, Larry King. The lovers were under the influence of drugs that day. Following the investigations, they were arrested. In court, the jury wasted no time in reaching a verdict.
We, the jury, in the above caption, on the charge of murder of Christina Ann Pangalangan, find the defendant guilty. Oh my God! Oh my God!
Now it's time to see if Judge Clifton will uphold the jury's recommendation.
Ms. King, it's sentenced to the court on the offense of murder that you be committed to the State Department of Corrections for a period of 32 years. Great bodily injury, the sentence is 20 years. Sentences will run concurrent, credit for any time that you've already served. Thank you all. Ms. Pangalangan, a lot of folks have said a lot of good things about you and a lot of positive impacts that you've made on their lives. You're not being sentenced to death. You won't be facing a firing squad or a gas chamber or electric chair, your life goes on, but it'll go on behind bars.
Rita and Larry are serving their sentences in prison. While some may attribute Rita's actions to drugs, she was not the only one to act under the influence. There's Colby Allen Parker, who's facing charges for the murder of his grandpa in Florida. In 2021, police received a call about a stabbing.
All right, sir, go ahead.
I like to report an incident.
Now, from the beginning, what happened first?
Well, I just got done cooking some dinner for us, and the knife was on the table, and he just boked out.
And how long ago did this happen?
Scared to death. I'm scared to death.
How long ago did this happen?
Just happened.
Okay. Like 5 minutes ago, or?
About 3 minutes ago. I'm so nervous right now. I just need y'all here. I need y'all here now before I lose it.
When they arrived, they saw a bloodied Colby on the porch.
All right.
Colby had a perfect excuse for his crimes.
And I was smoking weed. That's all I was smoking. And just had to put something in it. Made me feel weird. Sat at the table and lunged at me with a knife right there. I had to defend myself.
While they were still trying to understand the situation, Colby made to run.
Hey, don't do that, buddy. Don't do that.
Back down. A few minutes after he sat back down, he shocked the officers by revealing what he was holding.
Ronnie and Ronnie Jr. right here.
Ronnie, okay, what is that?
Those are ears.
Those are ears.
Colby pretended as if he was willing to cooperate with the police, but the pretense didn't last long.
Hey! Get down! No. Taser. He's trying to get a barrel. Get on him. He's trying to get the gun. Have it?
Colby was later subdued and is in custody without bail. If you thought these reactions were shocking, you'd be amazed at this video of serial killers reacting to death sentences.